What's up guys, MikeCoco back here bringing you guys a new video on the new Legacy update which occurred last week. It took place after the Season 2 Rank 3 gear update, and there's actually a lot of content that was released in this update which is quite significant. So we'll just go through some of that, and yeah, let's just get on with it. So the first thing is the introduction of EX Plus, which is essentially level above the current maximum. The maximum prior to this update was Mythic rank EX. Now it goes up to EX plus 5, and the way it works is you essentially use legendary or mythic heroes, and you fuse them into your current hero, and it provides rank EXP, and this rank EXP will boost up your EX hero to EX plus 1, EX plus 2, all the way up to EX plus 5. And this system only works for heroes that are already at level 125 EX. So if your hero is not at 125, you won't see them in this tab here. Other than that, it's just like a system for like end game players, because it does use quite a bit of resources. I will have a full chart in the description below about the rank EXP that you get. But obviously a mythic hero will grant you more rank EXP than a legendary hero, and if you fuse the same hero, like hero to hero, so let's say I fuse Michael to another Michael in the Evolve EX tab, then you will get more rank EXP. And yeah, so here it essentially says for EX plus 1 you have to be at least 105, or level 105. EX plus 5 you have to be at least level 125. So that's pretty much it for EX plus. The next thing I want to talk about is the mythic skills for your main hero. I talked a little bit about this in the arena, or not arena, the Abyssal Inferno series, and I mentioned that it's actually a pretty decent update because the main hero is pretty useful, but the main drawback is that he or she or it doesn't really have a mythic skill. So the major issue with that was they're kind of weaker than your typical mythic season or even your mythic hero, because they don't have a mythic skill. With that, or with this update at least, they can now choose between all of the current I guess free mythic skills. So you can't select any of the mythic skills that are available on your mythic season heroes. So for example, you won't see something like this, which is Dread King, which increases attack by 40%. We have the free-to-play version, which is, I believe, the same one used on Lucas, I think. Actually, I don't have him right now, but yeah, you have the free-to-play version, which I think increases attack by 30 or 25%. In terms of which mythic skill to use, I mean, there are a few I like. The first one is, where is it? The first one is Impregnable Fortress, because it reduces damage to allies in a row, which is fairly useful for a sword main, because you're going to be you're shielding in a cross, so you're going to be protecting at least 3 other heroes, or 2 other heroes. The other one I like is Ray of Light, because it allows you to remain immune to CCs for 4 turns when you max it out. So it could mean that you don't necessarily need a Remy when you're in PvE battles, which is pretty decent. I like that one. And the other one I really like is Blessing of Spirit. This one's really useful in Arena because it kind of acts like Saint Ione's skill. I can imagine if you pair this mythic skill with Saint Ione in Arena, you're going to be pretty much unkillable, because I think you recover like 50% of your HP every turn, which is just annoying to deal with. Fighting Spirit, I could see some use for it. Gladiator also could see some use. Like these two, I would see some use in Arena. Phoenix as well. I think Murderous Intent could be useful for Arena, but I'm unsure right now. Because only one hero has this right now, which is the new Black Prince Herald or something. Multimillionaire and the Training Instructor, they're both decent because you're going to be using, or you can use them in Tower or Quest mode, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And obviously the buffs are also pretty decent. The only one I wouldn't go for would be Grudge and Guardian, because Guardian is garbage and Grudge is, I mean, you have a few heroes now that can do that. And yeah, I think that's it. Also, Monster Expert, I wouldn't really do that because I don't think any of the main heroes have attack up. I don't recall. So yeah, I wouldn't bother with that one either. And the other thing that is important to note is that even though I'm level 4 Mythic skill here, if I change to any other Mythic skill, it's going to reset back to level 1, but then I can reset back to my original and it'll stay at level 4. So essentially, the progress is quote-unquote saved. So you don't need to worry about it being reset every single time you switch your Mythic skill. Now, that's it for the main hero, I believe. And we're going to go to the Demigod. Slight changes. The Demigod damage was nerfed in PvP in terms of critical damage, and I think just damage dealt in general by, I think, 10%. To be honest, I don't really find the current Demigod useful in PvP, so I don't know if this is a huge impact or not, because, I mean, paired with someone like Ella, I could see the Demigod being quite powerful, but I see a lot of people putting it on Michael, which is, in my opinion, kind of a waste because Michael's skill is just that much better. But regardless, the Demigod was nerfed, and right now they implemented the functionality so that when you equip a Demigod, it actually shows up by increasing your power, which is kind of unclear because none of your actual stats increase, but it is depicting the final power once your hero transforms into Demigod. So that's basically the idea there. And I think that may be it in terms of Demigod. Like I said in the beginning of this video, this update is actually pretty big in terms of content, so there are some things that I may miss. But I'll try my best to keep all of it. So in Raid, they introduced a new mode called Demigod Raid. Before, it was the Mythic Raid where we just challenge the Mythic season gods. Now we're challenging the Demigods, and the only difference is that A, they're more powerful, and B, there is a ban list, meaning that you cannot use any of these heroes in this raid. And because they introduced a new Demigod raid, the two raids now alternate. So the Demigod raid will now be open for 2 weeks, I believe, and once that closes, the Mythic raid will open up. So it's going to be alternating in between those two. I did notice that they hit slightly harder, or not even slightly, they hit quite a bit harder. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And because they now alternate between 2 weeks, I think we get increased rewards. Yeah, so before, I think if you were top 100, you would get 175. Now I think they bumped it down a tier because you can only get rewards every 2 weeks. So yeah, and in terms of that, you can see the reward here. It's called an artifact shard. I will get into that a little bit later, but I'm not 100% sure what it does yet because I haven't been able to pull one because it just requires so many resources. But yeah, I will talk about that a little bit later. The key thing I want to mention in this update is probably quest mode. The quest mode, I guess, was reworked, and it's actually pretty good in my opinion. The whole tab has been reworked into sort of like an auto mode. Reason why is because, so this is considered the normal mode in story. You also have the actual story mode, which is, how do I actually get into it? I don't remember. So you go here, I think, and I think it will take you to the actual storyline. So essentially what happens is there are actually 3 modes in your quests. You actually have the quest mode, which is what happens when you click these buttons here, or it calls it story mode. And then you have normal mode. Normal mode allows you to pretty much auto battle, so you don't have to click anything. Repeat means that you repeat the same battle over and over again. Auto battle means starting at the current battle, which is episode number 205, it will attempt to take you all the way to the end of the story mode. However, as soon as you lose one battle, it will stop. And then you have sweep, which is essentially just sweeping the current floor multiple times. So auto battle is pretty useful if you have already finished everything, because you can just quickly clear from, I guess, episode number 1 all the way to the end. Repeat is good once you hit the very end of a normal mode battle, and the buttons are, I don't know, slightly confusing, I feel like, unless they fixed it. Alright, it looks like they fixed it, which is good, because it was slightly confusing as to how the buttons navigated. Before the patch, it would just like kind of skip. Like if you hit this button, it would just skip to chapter 4, I think, but it doesn't do that now. So in terms of story mode, you have to finish all of story mode before you can challenge the battle in normal mode. So let's say I finished story mode level 101. That means I can only normal battle up to level 101. I have to finish a story mode for 102 before I can go and clear this battle on normal mode. And you get these little star things. The star things are essentially points you get for defeating the boss. It works similarly to like the rank SS in Tower, meaning that if you clear the boss fast, and I think if you don't get hit or if you don't die, in the sense that none of your heroes die, you get more stars. And the stars are cumulative and allows you to get the rewards for each chapter. The rewards are decent, I would say. You can only get it once, which is kind of sucks there, but I mean it's a decent source of just resources in general. And you get one for each chapter, sub-chapter. So 5-1 we only get gold, and then when 5-2 is released, we'll get whatever is next, which should be like legendary essence or something. So yeah, story mode or quest mode, I guess, is really good. You get these energy points now, which means that you can only challenge quest mode for like, not an unlimited time period, because the rewards in quest mode are actually, I would say they're probably better than what is it? They're probably better than Tower rewards. I think you get more EXP. Wait, let's see, 825,000, and in Tower, how much do you get? I think in Tower it caps out at like 200,000 or something. Yeah, like barely 200,000 EXP per hero. Although if you run 8 heroes, that would be 1.6 million. And then if you run it here, XP gain. And so I'm not. See, I haven't like looked at the actual EXP gain, so I'm not sure if this is 825,000 per hero or if it's just in total that is shared among the 6 heroes that you use in your deploy. I feel like it's the 6 heroes, but regardless, I think the rewards are definitely better because you get instant access to legendary essence. These turkeys I'll talk about a little bit later because it's currently an event item, but you get jewel boxes, which are slightly better than the Tower version because Tower only offers rank D to rank A jewels. This one offers the chance of getting legendary jewels, but it's extremely low. So I think that's it for normal mode. Hard mode is a totally different story because it's actually ridiculously hard. The important thing here is that you get artifact shards, which are, let's see. Okay, so I think it's the last battle of every subchapter. You get artifact shards, which are used to create artifacts, and not every single hero has an artifact. Those with artifacts will probably be stronger. I'm not sure because again I don't have an artifact right now, but it's supposed to increase your stats, and they work kind of similar to wings, where you use dragon heart and I think rune powder to increase the level, and then you have to do some other stuff to actually increase it from level 1 to level 2. But yeah, as soon as I get an artifact, I will make another video on that. I think it will take a while though because it takes 10,000 artifact shards, and I think the update only gave you 1,000 artifact shards for free, so quite a bit of grinding needed. And hard mode is actually fairly hard. Like I cannot consistently clear this floor, even with my best team. that being said, they haven't been upgraded to the I guess final grade of gear, and they're not running the perfect setup. I think I still haven't chosen the 2 heroes from the new 8 Guardians arc, but just be aware that it is extremely hard. So don't be surprised if you can't finish it. I would highly recommend using your friend's hero to help you finish this, because it is just that hard. And and I think you're able to, yeah, so you can only clear hard mode battles 3 times before you have to reset. That's the only restriction on that. Okay, so in terms of the turkeys that I talked about, they're actually for an event. Right now, I think, actually I don't remember when the event ends, but essentially it's the same thing as your collecting event, except this time instead of collecting, you're actually using, or I guess farming for the event items and then trading it in. The artifact shard definitely would get this one first. Equipment summoning ticket, I would get this second, because that's pretty much the only other way to get artifacts right now, and the usual rune essence and mythic ticket. The equipment summoning ticket is essentially a ticket that can get you either gear, jewels, or artifact shards. You can also buy it, I think, from Summon. I don't remember where it shows up. Yeah, Summon equipment. But obviously it's going to be biased towards jewels and equipment. Artifacts are just too expensive at this point, or rare to be able to get it so easily. But jewels, I think it's from rank B to rank legendary, and gear is from level 7 to level 9, which is, I think, converted is S2 rank 2? No, S2 rank 1 to S2 rank 3. And artifacts, well, you just get shards. And speaking of levels in your gear, they actually redid all of the equipment levels. So now the lowest level gear is actually Judgement. And I don't know if I have any Judge gear left to show you guys this, but I think I already disassembled all of my Legend or Judge gear. I have one piece, I think. So this is now the lowest level gear, Judgement. It's level 1, and I think the highest level is Radiance or Radiant, which is level 8, which is equivalent, or not equivalent, but similar to, I think, S2 rank 2. So S2 rank 2 is now level 8, S2 rank 3 is level 9, 7 is S2 rank 1, and so on and so forth. It does make it slightly less confusing about which rank the gear is. However, I think most of us are already accustomed to, you know, S2 rank 1, S2 rank 2, S2 rank 3, and you can't actually figure out that number directly by multiplying or adding. So it is going to take a while to change or get used to it, but it is slightly less confusing, so I guess that's a good thing in the long run, at least. And because the gear was changed, they also changed Ori, because there's no point in having Season 1 Ori and Season 2 Ori when there's no Season 1 and Season 2 gear. It's all just now one season gear. So they changed Ori by, I think, exchanging it at a certain rate. I don't remember what the rate was, but it doesn't really matter too much, I think, because they didn't rob you of anything. And I think that's it for gear. Oh, Phase Rift, of course, because this relates to gear up. Phase Rift, they released, oh, well, I already finished Phase Rift today, but they released, I think, 1 or 2 more levels in Phase Rift. I think it goes up to 3-star or 4-star, and you get 400 of every stone. It's actually still pretty easy. Like, I only had to adjust my initiative, and I was able to clear it on auto without dying, so it's not too big of a problem. You can also reset so that once you finish, let's say, I think this is Tuesdays, so once you finish Tuesday's Phase Rift, you can reset any of the other Phase Rifts. So it doesn't force you to reset only Tuesday's Phase Rift. You can, let's say, finish Tuesday's Phase Rift and then switch off, reset, and then do Iron Battlefield twice. Which is nice, because you're not always going to be using one specific stone the whole time. You're going to be using all of these stones. So I guess that's a good thing, and I would highly recommend resetting, because right now we can get soul gems from Mythic Raid and Arena, and you're gonna need it to upgrade gear, because the bottleneck at this point is pretty much Ori and these stones. Right now, I would say Ori, but prior to this update, I would definitely say stones because we were earning so little stones every day. So yeah, Ori is probably the biggest bottleneck, but the stones come in second. And what else is there to talk about? Oh, right. Cannons were buffed. You're gonna have to ask one of your guildmates to test this though, because I don't have an exact cannon team, so there's no way I can actually test this. But apparently what happened is that they now receive a body blow buff, which means that whenever it procs, you deal 20% more damage. And this only works if the hero has an artifact equipped. So therefore, Pram, even though she's a cannon user, I don't believe she gets access to the body blow buff because she doesn't have an artifact. Because like I mentioned earlier, not every hero will have an artifact. So Pram doesn't have one, but Kaiguya has one. Jug doesn't have one, but Gareth does. So you're gonna have to play around with that. But that's pretty much the buff that I think I mentioned a few updates ago about cannon buffs. And right, and bounty hunt was also changed. So previously you had to clear, I think, 4 levels of bounty hunt. So you would, let me rephrase that. You had, I think, 4 levels of bounty hunt, and in each level you had 4 bosses to fight. They reworked this so that now in each level you only have to fight 1 boss, and if you clear that boss, then you get all of the rewards in the previous level bounty hunts. So if I finish level 3 bounty hunt, I'll get the rewards for level 3, level 2, and level 1. So in essence, it is cumulative. And you have the option to select which one you want to do. However, bounty hunt it is a lot harder now. So I think a few months ago when they reworked bounty hunt for the first time, everyone was like partying for bounty hunt, and then slowly we were able to like pretty much auto it. It's now gone back to that point, so it's pretty much a cycle. It's gone back to the point where most people have to party in order to finish 4-star bounty hunt because it's really hard. But I think eventually we will come back to, it's like you're gonna come full circle again, and we're gonna be able to auto it eventually. And I can definitely see a purpose in resetting bounty hunt 2. I'm not sure how much it costs. Actually, retry. It costs 10 soul gems, which is actually not that bad. So yeah, I think I would definitely I would try resetting every now and then. However, I would only bother resetting if you can finish 4 stars, because otherwise you're not really getting the maximum value from your soul gem. So that's why recently I haven't been resetting it. But otherwise, I could see resetting it being useful, because I think you get around how much is it? 60, so 160, 280, and that's what, 420. So I think you get 420 Ori every day if you can finish 4 star. And if you retry that, I think that's 1.6, which is pretty much half of your gear rank up at Brock, which is pretty great. If you can get half of your gear ranked up in a day's worth of bounty hunt, that's pretty fantastic. But yeah, definitely maximize your value by resetting the last day, or resetting on the last level. Otherwise, you're kind of wasting soul gems. What else is there that I can talk about? There's this hiring system, which is, I don't know if it's exactly useful, because I'm not sure how much gear you actually need to purchase in order to get this mileage up. I haven't hired anything with soul gems yet, simply because I'm just saving them for phase rift and bounty hunt. But if you guys have tried it and think it's good, just let me know in the comments. The rewards are decent. Special chance is okay. Here, this is Doppelganger EX, which is also pretty good. This is probably the best one, because you can select artifact shards as your reward, but it doesn't specify how many you get, so typical Nexon. And what is the last thing? I feel like I'm missing something. Right, I'm looking at this right now and I'm just blanking out. They released a new missions tab. So previously, missions here, it had your lifetime missions. I think they have deprecated that in favor of this missions, which you can like hide here. And essentially it goes through pretty much a complete tutorial of the game. It's sort of annoying because not all of it is like retroactive, which is why you're kind of like stuck at some points. Like here, I'm sure like at this point I must have reinforced it at least 2 times already. But it's not retroactive, so I had to redo this. And things like clearing the quest normal mode or hard mode episode 80, if you already finish it and you get to this level, then it'll ask you to do it again. Same thing with like clear Tower Chaos or obtain 80 essence. The only ones that are retroactive are like this kind of stuff, like clear the quest. That one will auto finish, but the others you have to like manually do it, and it's just it's a lot of work. I mean, you should go through and do it because it's free stuff, but I'm really lazy, and again, like I mentioned in my last video, I am sick, so I don't really feel like doing any of this. But definitely get around to doing this eventually because, like, why not? The rewards are fairly decent, I think. Yeah. So there's that. There's also the special tab, which is for like what Nexon says, endgame heroes or endgame players. You actually get like more useful things, like actual like worthy gear, because you can get some pretty low tier gear, like level 5 gear. Like it's pretty useless at this point, but the special tab does have more stuff. The one I think most people would be stuck at is probably Demigod contract, because that's like halfway through and you need like all that stuff to hire Demigod Michael or something. And you guys pretty much already know my stance on Demigod Michael. I don't think he's great, so kind of a waste of resources just to, I don't know, clear this stupid mission. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And let me check if there's anything else that I'm missing. Yeah, I think there were 2 heroes that were added. I think I'll probably leave it to a different video though, because it's not really related at all to the update. It's more just like content new content being added. I think I've gone through everything. Nothing too important. Oh, they did change the tower, the jewel rewards. I'm not sure if I mentioned this already. You can now get, I think it's D to A, but only from floors 91 to 100. And right, Abyssal Inferno. They also updated Abyssal Inferno. I think they released the 8 Guardians box again for floor 50. Yeah, so you can select those one more time, and I think everything else is pretty much usual rewards, nothing too special. Yeah, and I think I've covered everything. Oh, hearts. In terms of hearts, there's now a send all get all tab. I think they could just merge this into send/get all, because there honestly is no point. But it does mean that you no longer have to send a hero, like an assistant hero, to your friend, because you can just send heart directly. So I guess it's good for like new players that don't have a lot of heroes to start off with. They can at least send some hearts to do stuff for their friends. And the last one I think is just the new event, which was the login event, which I unfortunately already cleared, so I can't show you guys. But I think on the 7th day, you get another Arc of the 8 Guardians thing. You get this ticket, even though it says only Deji, Gandharva, and Kubera are available. When you hit use, you can actually select any of the current 8 generals aside from the new ones, so like Godtails, Queen Astia. But you also get access to some of the older Arc boxes as well. So with this, I'd probably suggest Garura and Deji as your top 2 picks. If you really want a hero from one of the old arcs, I suppose you could go for it. The only 2 personally I would go for at this point, based on the heroes I have, are Saint, Ione, and Gabe, because those 2 are the only ones I'm missing. because I have Remy and Michael, which I think are pretty top tier picks. And Saint Ione and Gabe are very good. And I have DQK as well. So Kamau, I'm not too interested in her because even though she is probably the hardest hitting hero in the game, she's pretty much only good in Mythic Raid in my opinion. And I don't personally like Mythic Raid because I find that it just takes too much time. So yeah, I don't really like that. Taihu, I suppose you could go for it, but Deiji is pretty much the upgrade, so not much of a point there. So yeah, I think that's it for this update. A lot of content, a lot of new things to do, and you actually have to play like really actively. Like I've been, like I mentioned, sick and just busy with other things to do, and I feel left behind like by all the new gear and stuff. Everyone's hitting like 20 million power or like 30 million power, and I'm just sitting here looking at this like, yeah, I'm never gonna hit that. But I guess it's just more things to grind for, which I guess is okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I think the costume video will probably have to come out later because I'm still not feeling well. Yeah, probably the coughs will be edited out and all the weird sounds. So yeah, I'll see you guys, I guess, in a week or so. Peace.